DIY.
DIYers, in light of all of this Drake news,
FBI, open up!
allegedly, Aubrey, it's been having a lot of us doing a lot of reflecting. One of the reflections that I had, and not just Drake, 50 Cent too, the other Curtis, the other Curtis, and his weird support of Drake in this moment, especially when he himself tried to convince many of us. I was in high school at the time, 2003, 2002. I was in high school at the time. Shut up. Just talking about my age. Shut up. At the time, I was in high school, and I was like, I was all for it. Hey, everybody was all for JusticeForJaRule. JusticeForJaRule was dominating at that time. JusticeForJaRule was providing a much needed void at that time, right? It was at a time period where it was kind of like post DMX. It was post DMX, and it was at a time where Ja was filling in. Ja and DMX was kind of giving us a little bit of that Tupac energy. I know that's like blasphemous for a lot of people, but they were giving us a little bit of some of that, but from an East Coast perspective. It was aggressive. It was raw. The music was emotional. And Ja was different. Ja brought a very unique sound to the game, and it got me really thinking about not just JusticeForJaRule, the artist, but then also JusticeForJaRule in the way that his, eventual decline happened, at least in mainstream rap, and the way that so many people switched up. You know, I made a tweet, kind of like just hammering this home, and I said this, and JusticeForJaRule hit me up. I said, I feel like I've owed JusticeForJaRule an apology since 2002. The way I let 50 Cent switch my support up was inexcusable. Hashtag justice for Ja. Hashtag he never sued nobody.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
That's exactly what I said. And then somebody tagged him, and I was like, he ain't gonna see that. And then he saw it. Shout out to JusticeForJaRule. And I said, you know what? I hope he don't think I'm playing when I say this, because I'm not playing. I'm looking at this now from an adult lens and realizing we might have made the wrong person famous. Now, 50 has done an amazing job of, teaching entrepreneurship. He's given us a lot of great music before he eventually got into TV, a great TV show. Everything happens for a reason. But it's got me thinking like, damn, I slick switched up. This is what I told him in response to that before we get to this video where I really want to break it down because I want a different perspective. I said, brother, you blessed us with amazing music for years. You filled a void in sound and hip hop that was needed. And then when the tide shifted, you didn't switch up. You didn't sue nobody. You didn't do you didn't go to Interscope and say, this is all a plot to bring me down. You didn't do that. Hip hop fans owe you long overdue respect. And if they don't want to do it, I'm going to give it a long overdue respect. Thank you, Ja. Round of applause for JusticeForJaRule. I'm dead ass serious right now. I'm so serious. At first, it might have started off like a little bit like I was joking or whatnot. But honestly, why we stop messing with him? Because a new guy came in and told us he ain't real, y'all. Newsflash. None of these niggas is real. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit disrespectful. Newsflash. It's entertainment. Newsflash. That's not what made the music sound better. The music sounded good because the music sounded good. All I'm saying is group thinking. Yes. Thank you, Afro Butterfly. If we really dice it up, that man provided music. I mean, from holla, like since I was literally in middle school. Remember getting ready for middle school, going to Curtis Middle School, and I would listen to his music. Then getting into high school, he provided music for a long time. Records with Jay-Z and all that, and the entire industry switched up on him. And you know what? He didn't go sue nobody like Drake did. So I mean this statement when I say this, and if this video reaches him, I hope he understands that is genuine. With that said, I know that sounds like a lot of maturity for some people, and they're like, nah, bro, he did some suspect things. He made some mistakes. There's some things that I can't deny, the mistakes that he made, but how many of us have been in his position? How many of us knows what it's like to be on top? How many of us had the foresight that something like this could even happen, where they could literally have you being at the top of the game and then wipe out your influence just like that? I know it was a long process for it to happen, but bro, he took his L, took his basketball, and he went home. But he also dealt with a lot of things that doesn't get highlighted, and I want to make sure I revisit this now, not from the lens of how old was I? I had to be like, what is that, 85, 95, 2005, so what is it? 95, 2005. So like I was definitely probably 18, 17 around the time. I want to revisit this now. I'm getting ready to turn 40. And I don't care if hip hop wants to grow up, I'm growing up and I'm hip hop. So I want to look at it from this lens. So this video was dropped about a year ago on a hip hop content channel. I want to react to this and I want to see and compare it to the stuff that's going on with Drake and Kendrick right now and see if I'm on point. Peep it out.
JusticeForJaRule went from being one of the best-selling rappers in the early 2000s to a joke and internet meme after his brutal beef with 50 Cent. Bad business decisions, legal problems, and fraud all helped ruin his legacy. This is the true story of the rise and embarrassing fall of JusticeForJaRule. Jeffrey Bruce Atkins, aka JusticeForJaRule, was born on February 29, 1976 in New York City. He grew up in Hollis, Queens, the same neighborhood that was home to other hip-hop legends like LL Cool J, Russell Simmons, Run DMC, and his future business partner, Irv Gotti. Growing up, Ja had it pretty tough. His father left the family when he was young, so his mom Deborah had to raise Ja on her.
Oh yeah, don't get it twisted. Get Rich or Die Trying and the mixtapes that G Unit was circulating, absolute fire. It wasn't for nothing, right? The music absolutely was a different spin at the time, and they're going to talk about this in this video. It was a different spin from where the direction he went to, because at that time he's writing for J-Lo, he's writing for a lot of pop acts, and he's starting to really cross over into that space. And he in 50 to the 48 Laws thing. But once again, I just don't think now, as I look at this, I'm like, maybe it's revisionist history, but I really want to see it now from a different lens.
Deborah worked as a nurse at a hospital and often struggled to put food on the table. So Ja sometimes lived with his grandparents because of how much his mom had to work. When he was only 5 years old, the family went through a tragedy after his younger sister Karen died of respiratory problems.
Didn't know that.
That left Ja as an only child, and from then on, it was just him and his mom. He went on to live with his grandparents full-time when he was about 6 years old and stayed there until he was about 12 or 13. His grandparents were Jehovah's Witnesses, so it was a very strict religious household. They didn't celebrate birthdays or Christmas, and he was never allowed to listen to rap music. But all the strict rules made him want to rebel. And the first time he ever heard hip-hop, he knew he was going to be a rapper. But rap wasn't the only way Ja was starting to rebel. After he left his grandparents' house, he started drinking and smoking weed. And that's when he hopped off the porch and started hustling and selling drugs in the street. With his mom always working and no father or older brothers around to show him a better path, Ja looked up to the local rappers and drug dealers who wore nice clothes and drove expensive cars. But being in the streets exposed him to a lot, especially because it was the height of the crack era. In an interview with Vlad TV, he said that even his friends' parents and siblings were hooked on drugs, and he was the one selling it to them. Even though he was selling drugs at an early age, Ja still had bigger dreams of making it as a rapper, but he knew that school wasn't going to get him to where he wanted to be in life, so he dropped out in the 11th grade. He later said, "I just couldn't take it. I was into my own little world, doing what I thought was smart at the time." But after dropping out, he started to realize he wasn't exactly moving weight as a drug dealer. He decided that hustling full-time probably wouldn't work out long-term, and to add even more pressure, his girlfriend Aisha got pregnant. But he never had a regular job and had no high school diploma, so he had to figure out how he was going to feed his new family. He'd already started rapping as a hobby when he was in high school, freestyling in the lunchroom and on street corners. So he decided that his only option was to make a name for himself in the music industry. Around that time, he linked up with Chris Black in 01 and started a group called the Cash Money Clique. They also recruited a local producer named DJ.
I'm with you, Afro Butterfly. Afro Butterfly says we need more avenues for the kids. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I have nothing to add to that, just absolutely.
Irv, later known as Irv Gotti, who started making beats for him. That's when Jeffrey Atkins officially took the stage name JusticeForJaRule, which was a nickname he got from a friend in the neighborhood. With Irv's help, Cash Money Clique released their first single, Get the Fortune, in 1994. And
I want to make it clear, I'm not sitting up here trying to absolve him from any responsibility of why things went the way he went. Most people, and we're going to get to that, most people say that, oh, he needs to ignore 50 and he would have been in the same situation. They say it like it's so easy, like we've seen an example of this before and we have not. This is the first of its time. What I'm doing is trying to humanize it, because I think for the longest, I let kind of like another hip hop lens dehumanize that situation. And I'm like, damn. It can happen to literally anybody, even somebody as big as a Drake. After 15 years of pulling the wool over people's eyes, all of a sudden, everything has switched up. If it can happen to them, it can happen to anyone. I'm just at this point really curious because I don't really think I ever dug into his story.
Single built a local buzz in New York, which helped them ink a deal with TVT Records. Another Queens rapper named Mick Geronimo was already signed to the label and was also a friend of Irv, so they both helped put the deal together. Even though JusticeForJaRule became famous for his radio hits, Cash Money Click had a sound inspired by 90s boom bap and G-Funk.
Wow.
After signing to TVT, they released another single called For My Click, which featured Mick Geronimo on the hook. The track was an underground hit on pirate radio and even got played on Yo MTV Raps. Cash Money Click was popping off, and Ja thought he was really about to break into the industry, but out of nowhere, it all fell apart. Cash Money Click was busy working on an album, but due to music industry politics, it got shelved. Without any income from rap, Chris Black went back to hustling and ended up catching a case that landed him 5 years in prison.
So there's a chance we might have never even heard of Ja after that situation folded. And there's a lot of artists that go through that where it's so discouraging because in your mind, especially at a young age, you think this is it. You work so hard for the opportunity and the look, and you don't have the foresight as a young artist many times of what it looks like 5 to 10 years from there. You're thinking this is the thing that's going to change it forever. So to have that dissolve and be able to still pull out the career that he did is kind of insane.
That convinced TVT that the group was not going to happen, so they got dropped from the label. That left Ja with no money coming in and a new family to support, so he had to figure something out fast. But even though his first group didn't work out, he still made plenty of contacts in the music industry.
Just for context though, you said, John said, how do you ignore the dude who buys all your concert tickets? This is where revisionist history is kicking your ass right now. 50 Cent wasn't buying tickets at this point in time. 50 Cent wasn't up like that. Their beef, as it's going to explain, was more of a street beef, was more of an issue between who was financing Murder Inc. and issues that 50 Cent had with the person or the entities that eventually almost took him out. But this concert ticket thing happened way after when 50 was already the 50 Cent we know today. 50 wasn't buying no tickets in this situation. You wasn't even able to get close like that. This is where revisionist history is going to kick our ass. This is why I'm revisiting it right now, because I need context. I need context, and I mean it, bro. Like Justice for Ja. This shit is like different now that you like, bro. At least he ain't sue nobody.
He was still tight with Irv Gotti,
and not to mention, 50 low key did the suing allegedly, and putting restraining orders up. I completely glossed over that during the beef era. The beef DVDs, I glossed over that. My fandom of 50 blinded me. I'll be honest.
Who had started working as an executive at Def Jam Records. Irv knew Ja had potential, so he helped him secure a deal at Def Jam in 1995. That's when Ja's career really started heating up, and he was working with some of the hottest up-and-coming rappers in New York who would go on to be future legends. His first single on Def Jam was Mick Geronimo's Time to Build, which also featured a young Jay-Z and DMX. He also spit a verse on the track Usual Suspects alongside DMX, The Lox, and Tragedy Gaddafi. So those collabs helped put Ja in the same conversations as some top rappers in New York at the time. Irv also worked closely with Jay-Z.
What if 50 Cent is the reason why Drake went to the legal route? You ever give that some thought? What if 50 Cent is the reason why, allegedly, the reason why Drake went to that legal route? Since he was so close and he was giving him all this information, it makes the perspective of him being on Big Boy's radio show and holding up the op list. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes it look a little bit weird under the light. Like, why are you so involved in this? And it doesn't involve you.
Z and DMX, and was important in helping their careers at Def Jam. That's when Russell Simmons decided to give Irv his own imprint and let him start his label, Murder Inc. When Murder Inc. first launched in 1998, Irv knew exactly who he wanted as his first signee, and he chose JusticeForJaRule to be the label's main artist. During his time with Murder Inc., Ja continued to work with some of the biggest artists in the 90s.
Bro, like, I know a lot of labels get the nods, like, you know, of course, the Death Rows, of course, the Wu-Tangs, of course, all these legendary groups, of course, now more recently TDE. But damn it, man, the stranglehold that Murder Inc. had, like, Murder Inc. was such a powerful entity at this time that Nas was like, yo, I think I might need to come over there and rock with y'all. They were it. Murder Inc. was like, whatever label you're thinking of today is like, damn, if I'm there, everything is taken care of. That's what they were for rap, for hip hop at that point, mainstream rap. And they don't get mentioned enough because of people's hyper focus, and even mine too, has a certain degree, on the demise of it, which is unfortunate. That's why I'm highlighting this.
Including Nas, Method Man, and Redman, DMX, and LL Cool J. He even did a hook for Jay-Z's hit single, Can I Get Her? And
It's one of
after
my
just a couple
favorites.
years in the industry, Ja was becoming one of the most hyped up and upcoming artists of the time. He really started to blow up with the release of his first single, Holla Holla, which became an
And that was my shit. Holla, holla, dollar, dollar. You got to understand at that point in time, like, music had shifted because we're talking about post Biggie loss, post Tupac loss, and you're starting to see like the focus of what artists are getting pushed to the forefront be changed. But the thing about it is the Tupacs and the Biggies left a void, right? There's a certain level of authenticity that is relatable to people who can't relate to the street politics of these rappers. They relate to the authenticity. They relate to the grit. They relate to, you know, even if they're just working out, they relate to like pushing past that last set because of the edge that these folks are speaking with in this moment. They can relate to something. And the music, the nature of music just shifted after that, right? It just kind of became a lot less street-centered focus. So when you have artists that can bring that energy back to it, there was already a void that was there. So I understand when a Holla Holla came out, I was like, oh man, we've been missing this. We've been missing this.
Instant hit, peaking at number 35 on Billboard. A few months later, he followed up with his debut album, Fendi Vedi Vici, which sold 184,000 copies.
Do you consider Fendi Vedi Vici to be a classic? You consider that a classic? Had a lot of. I want to see what songs is on there, but that had a lot of work on there.
The first week and peaked at number 3 on Billboard. So Ja was quickly proving that he was not just a one-hit wonder, but had the potential to be a superstar. His career continued to take off after he worked with Christina Milian for his second single, Between Me and You.
Not quite, okay.
It was his first crossover hit and got major airplay on Top 40 radio, which helped the song reach number 11 on the Billboard charts. Ja kept the momentum up, and his next single, Put It On Me, featuring Vita and Lil Mo, also popped off and hit number 8 on the charts. Ja already had respect from the hardcore rappers, but he was proving he could pop off on the radio and hit the mainstream too.
Let's definitely highlight this because this is the topic of the conversation. Stephanie Williams says, it is quite strange that we haven't heard a peep from 50 since Drake officially files his case. You know why? Because the appeal that a 50 Cent presents to us traditionally, because he was the guy that got that campaign to get Ja out of position. If someone's like a politician that's like, he's lying to y'all, only to figure out the game is built on lies.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth.
And we like, hell yeah, he's a wankster. Hell yeah, all that with that G unit, just to figure out that people in G unit had issues with 52. You know what I'm saying? I'm not up here trying to talk spicy because I know that man sees everything and would love to put something on his platform. But ain't it crazy? Like, you see the way them people kind of like went off to the side. Like at the moment it was all about that, but that is a campaign. That's like politics. All these people that are on a side, right? For example, all these folks that are on the side of Obama and a side of a Trump, many times tend to sit on polar opposite ends of their beliefs in terms of, you know, where they hold their morals at. Them seeing Trump and Obama laughing and kikiing at Jimmy Carter's funeral, they were pissed off. What's going on here? They playing with you. This shit is a game. This shit ain't nothing but politics. It ain't nothing but politics. So when I see something like this, I realize it was funny as hell at first because it was like 50 was the first troll when he came and he challenged Ja Rule and he said, oh, nigga, all that singing and shit, bro. Man, we got to get some gangster shit. And then when he got in position, the nigga started singing. Hey, how the hell you push me out of position only to do the shit I just did to prove a point that what are we doing? But at the time, for context, for those who were that age, we were like, damn, that's kind of slick though. You took bro out of position and took his whole shit. As a 40-year-old man, I'm looking at that and I'm like, you took his whole shit and had me believing you was the opposite. And in many ways, he kind of was, but it's like, damn, I know that's 48 laws, but that shit is also manipulative. Am I talking too much like an adult right now? I'm sorry. Don't take my hip hop card.
He switched up his style from being a street rapper into a more pop rap direction, and that's when he really hit the spotlight.
He saw
His second album,
50 saw a void. He switched to a pop direction. 50 saw that was an opportunity. That feels like a 48 law.
Rule 336, was released on October 10th, 2000 and sold 276,000 copies in the first week, making it Ja Rule's first #1 album. The project eventually went triple platinum and even scored Ja's first Grammy Award nomination for Best Rap Performance as a duo or group. By that point, Ja Rule was on his way to becoming one of the biggest artists in the world.
Facts.
Every single and album he dropped was doing bigger and bigger numbers.
Hotter than fish grease at this time, fam. Ja Rule couldn't do no wrong. Like, the way that you look at Drake, for a lot of folks who are younger, the way you look at Drake, Ja Rule was that. In an era where internet was nowhere near what it is today. Social media was not around. He was getting around on physical units. He was getting around on all of these music video shows that are circulating. He's getting on old traditional legacy music platforms. This is radio. This is MTV, TRL. This is 106 & Park. This is Rap City. This is all these different places where you had to really show and prove. You can't artificially boost a buzz. Either people like you or they don't. So for him to do that at that time, bro, was hotter than fish grease. That's why he got the movie roles afterwards.
And the success of Rule 336 made him a household name. He also helped put Murder Inc. on the map and made him one of the hottest record labels in the US. Ja kept his momentum up and dropped his third album, Pain Is Love, a year later on October 2nd, 2001. He debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts for the second time in a row after selling 361,000 copies in the first week.
361,000 copies at that time is still very impressive numbers in 1 week.
Plus,
it's beating everything today. Unless your name is Kendrick or Tyler.
two of the singles ran up crazy numbers and went #1. Ja was on a run that was unlike anything that had been seen before in hip-hop. He was not only a respected artist, but also had the ability to make radio hits. Even though Cash Money Click didn't work out, he bounced back and became one of the biggest success stories of the early 2000s. And it seemed like every record he hopped on was going #1. But there's only so long that you can have that much success before someone comes along and tries to knock you off the throne. And when Ja was at the top of the game, he sparked a wild beef that ended up destroying.
Let's think about that for a second. I like you that you brought this up, Corey Lee. You said 50 Cent already had a history of being a menace from How to Rob, so it made interesting with him coming at it. Was he a menace, or would he be identified today as an internet troll?
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Let me cook. He was a menace at that time because nobody had ever seen anything like a guy going over here and calling out the whole industry. But nobody ever asked the question, yo, who is bro? If one of your friends did that today, that's a certified troll. You're like, bro, you're down bad. But at that time, it was like, damn. Because you know what we got to talk about also? Because the industry changed so much and because folks were hesitant about shaking the boat, and getting back into conflict because we didn't want to repeat where we lost rappers, right? We're still losing rappers. We didn't want to get back to that era of East Coast, West Coast. You didn't see confrontation the way you said it before. You saw it before. 50 saw that as an opportunity and went straight for everybody in the industry and talked about how he would rob everybody in the industry. You do that today, they would call you an attention-seeking whore of an artist. They would push you off to the side and say, bro's clout chasing. You see why it's so flawed to call something clout chasing? It's a plan. It's a marketing plan. It worked. But today it'd be called clout chasing, which is crazy. But at the time it was like, damn, bro got him out of his pocket. That shit crazy. Like, I was one of them kids that was like, damn, that's a smart ass plan. No, is it smart or is it just trolling?
In his career. Today, younger rap fans don't even remember Ja for his accomplishments in the music industry, but more for his legendary beef with 50 Cent. At the time that Ja was blowing up, 50 was an up-and-coming rapper who still had one foot in the streets.
Now it's glazing slurp slurp. That's facts.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and
Can you imagine an alternative universe, Kenji? Can you imagine an alternative universe where the kids is like, the fuck is this 50 Cent guy doing? Bro, get off Ja's nuts, bro. Hey, you can't guzzle from down there, bro. Hey, he's a glazer. Can you imagine an alternative universe where these kids is calling 50 Cent a glazer for How to Rob? Oh, this kid wants to be edgy so bad. Can you imagine him coming out now? He had to do this in 2003. The kids will be on 50's head right now. Ooh, I'm from Jamaica, Queens. Yeah. I'm not trying to say nothing. I'm not trying to have no issues. I'm just saying that's how kids are today. Isn't that crazy? If you did this today, they'd be like, what's that meme that he say? Get a load of this guy. Oh, man. I'm sorry, Ja. Ja, I'm sorry, bro. We ain't even halfway. We almost halfway. I'm sorry, Ja.
Unclear exactly where the problem started, since both rappers have a different story, but they both grew up in Queens and knew a lot of the same people. A few different events forced them to pick sides, and they ended up beefing over their affiliations. It all started when Ja got his chain stolen at gunpoint in 50's neighborhood, Southside Jamaica, Queens. According to Ja, he was hanging out in 50's hood because he knew people in the area. He spotted a dude that he knew named Troy, who was from the Baisley Park projects. Troy had just gotten out of prison, so he told Ja to come chop it up with him. But when he got into his car, Troy pulled out a gun and accused Ja of sleeping with his girl while he was locked up. Ja denied it, but Troy forced him to give up his chain before letting him go.
Wow.
At the time, Ja was cool with Kenneth Supreme McGriff.
I'd never heard that. So apparently he picked up a gentleman that was supposed to be a friend of his, and he put out the pew pew and demanded his chain. And he went to go back. Let's go back a little bit. Let me get these names right.
Chain before letting him go. At the time, Ja was united. Troy pulled out a gun in prison, so he had a dude that he knew named Troy, who was from the Baisley Park projects. Troy had just gotten out of prison, so he told Ja to come chop it up with him. But when he got into his car, Troy pulled out a gun and accused Ja of sleeping with his girl while he was locked up.
Wow.
Ja denied it, but Troy forced him to give up his chain before letting him go. At the time, Ja was cool with Kenneth Supreme McGriff, a former drug kingpin who ran the Baisley Park projects.
This might have been him trying to get reinforcements at a time. I'm not trying to get into no street politics that got nothing to do with me, but I'm assuming this is him saying, look, we got a good thing going here. You got connections here. You can dead some of this activity right now because there's some folks out here making some rumblings that's trying to make it real difficult. They're coming at me because I'm at the top right now. I'm gonna need some support. But this could potentially be one of the first mistakes that backfired because of who he actually reached out to. You know, it's a tricky game, especially at that point in time, playing it to where it's like you need some kind of street representation to make sure that you out here and you're able to maneuver in the streets where people are looking at you like a Happy Meal. You a come up, you a trophy out here. So I do feel like this is part of the first things that inevitably made it go the direction it went.
Supreme had gotten out of prison a few years before and had linked up with Irv Gotti and Murder Inc. to try and start a legal career in entertainment. He formed a close relationship with Ja and helped give him credibility in the streets. So after he got his chain stolen, Ja says he hit up Supreme, who made a few phone calls and helped him get it back.
See?
But 50 was also cool with Troy and claims that Ja spotted them together at a club a few weeks later, and that's when the beef started. 50 also claims that he was the one who put Troy up to the robbery, but Ja claims the story is all cap and says he had nothing to do with it. Either way, it still hurt Ja's street cred and led to rumors that he was being extorted by Supreme. Later that year, 50 dropped a diss track aimed at JusticeForJaRule and Murder Inc. records called Life on the Line. The single was supposed to be on 50's debut album, Power of the Dollar, which was eventually shelved, but it was a minor street anthem.
You talking about an artist that was signed to Columbia that was getting shelved and was doing everything in his possibility to get the attention of an artist from his same neighborhood who was already on. Part of what he did was create chaos, or try to create chaos, through a song called How to Rob. In the moment that it happened, I looked at it and said, this is genius. He got the attention of the whole industry. People are mad. As an adult now, I look back and I'm like, that's trollery. Then somebody robs Josh, somebody that he thought he could trust. He goes and gets some support from Kenneth McGriff. He goes and gets some support. He gets his chain back. And then 50 Cent causes more chaos by talking about, hey, man, maybe I sent him, maybe I didn't. So just causing chaos so that at some point in time, you have to get Ja Rule off of the radio, off of the charts, and back into these street politics. Bro, today you would call that a desperate troll. That's insane. Am I wrong for that? I'm trying to read this right.
And showed that 50 was hungry and ready for problems with one of the hottest labels in the world. It wouldn't take long for the situation to heat up and go from disses and threats to real violence. First, there's a situation in an Atlanta nightclub where they were both scheduled to perform. Their managers tried to get him
Whoever booked that was messy. Whoever booked that knew what the hell they was doing. They was messy as hell.
to talk it out and make peace. So 50 approached Ja, who was holding a baseball bat. While they were talking it out, Ja gestured with the bat in a way that made 50 nervous, so he swung at him and sparked a massive brawl.
They were having a peace talk. Ja Rule, who's obviously shorter than the guy, is holding a bat. I'm pretty sure this is all part of his branding at that point in time because he had a bat and he made a gesture and 50 punched him. I'm willing to bet it really wasn't a I'm willing. I wasn't there. I'm not there. Obviously, I wasn't there. But I'm willing to bet 50 just wanted to punch him anyways. The man could help you. You about to make peace, and I don't like the way you moving that bat. Cause you see he got the bat, and you punch him. I don't like the way I'm feeling about this now. I feel like, oh man, I'm feeling different now. I'm feeling, and this is only one video. I get it. There's probably two sides. There's two sides to every story, but man, oh man.
During the fight, 50's crew snatched Ja's chain. 50 claims that he negotiated a deal behind the scenes with Ja's people to get the chain back in exchange for a Movado watch that was stolen from Tony Yayo. But Ja called Cap again and said there was never a deal. Then in March 2000, the beef popped off again, and 50 ended up getting stabbed at Hit Factory Studios in New York City.
I mean, I'm not saying nobody deserved to get stabbed, but after all that activity, after all the songs, after all of the robberies that folks is taking credit for, after all these street politics, somebody in that circle bound to say, "Hey man, what's up with your boy? What's up with him?" I feel bad, man. I really do. Like, not even in like a pity way. I feel bad because I'm like, bro, I didn't even care about his side of the story because I was such a 50 fan. I didn't even give a damn about Ja's story. This is interesting.
50 was there working on his album when Ja and his people found out where he was and rode up on him. When they showed up, another fight broke out and a Murder Inc. rapper named Black Child ended up stabbing 50. Ja and Black Child were both arrested, but 50 brushed it off and said that it was just a scratch. The beef almost escalated to murder a few months later when 50 was shot 9 times outside his grandmother's house in Jamaica, Queens.
Once again, I don't think anybody deserves that. That is a horrendous way to almost go out. But what's the saying? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. When I listen to the audiobooks of 50 Cent and he talks about the mindset he had during that time, it's not something that I look at and I say, damn, I could really learn from this. It's something that says, I'm glad that I didn't operate like that because I probably wouldn't be here right now. He's lucky to be alive. So having this happen is a byproduct of already some very reckless decisions. And I'm not absolving Murder Inc. I'm not absolving Ja Rule. I'm not involving myself in politics. It's got nothing to do with me, but I'm saying I made a decision as a fan, like many people, to stop supporting one to support another off of loyalty that should have been vetted a lot better for me as a fan, but I was 17, 18. Now at 40, I'm like, dog, I don't like the way this shit has, I don't like the results of this shit and where it's gone. It's interesting. I still say justice for Ja Rule.
Even though Ja wasn't directly involved with the shooting, it's been rumored forever that the hit was called by his friend Supreme after 50 raps about him on a leaked track called Ghetto Quran.
So I remember this part of it because it was played out in the movie, but 50 Cent, after almost being took out, 9 shots, right? He goes and then jumps right into, this is who did it. I know this is who did it for sure. I'm sorry, you shoot me 9 times? Call me weak as hell. You shoot me 9 times? Nigga, I'm finna be making Ja Rule type songs. What would I do without you? Is it even am I lonely? You ain't gotta worry about me talking about guns in the song ever again. I know he built different. I know he different, but I'm looking at this. I'm like, do you really want to agitate the situation with actual names? What's the game plan here? It don't sound so warrior like now. It sounds like a plan to get yourself out of here. That is wild.
The shooting took 50 off the streets for several months while he recovered. And while he was healing, 50 spent his time plotting the perfect way to get back at his enemy by destroying the career of his main artist and breadwinner. After recovering from the shooting, 50 signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Shady Aftermath Records.
This is probably when Josh said, we have a problem on our hands. It's one thing when you're dealing with somebody that's just really, really loud in the streets. It's another thing when they put money behind them. this is probably the moment he said, okay, we got a real problem now. Street politics, cool. We gonna see you when we see you. Our crew is gonna come up. Okay, somebody might get, all right, it's just casualties of being in the streets. It's gonna happen even if it ain't that crew or somebody else's crew. But this right here is when it's a problem. Trey Porter, you coming in here hot. How dare you tell just because someone shot you? That is not the logic here. You sound like a fucking idiot right now. You came in here late. It always the people that come in here late that be the loudest. Shut up. That's why your first message got banned. You sound crazy. Continue.
He then released a mixtape.
I said the man got shot 9 times and went on record and didn't handle it in the streets. Oh, I shouldn't say that. The first thing he did was jump on a song and say, after 9 months of recovery, Supreme Griffiths who shot me and I don't give a fuck. I'm ready. I'm coming back now. If that person is indeed responsible for it, you sure you want to do that? This is before he signed a deal. Do you understand that logic? I didn't say don't tell the police. I didn't say, do you understand that logic? You just got shot 9 times. And then you get on a song and say, I know who did it. Nowadays, the way the kids operate, that's called snitching. That's called snitching. That's what they call it. By that logic, that's why snitching, like she said, snitching needs to be revisited. That's called snitching. Just because you put it over a beat, don't make it more, just because it sounds sexier, don't make it less right. Why you tell him? Why you put that in your music? Why that's crazy. It's not that sounds right to y'all? I'm trying to see it from different perspectives. At 40, this doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry.
Called No Fear, No Mercy, which featured the popular track Wanksta. According to 50, the song is about a former gangster who doesn't progress in life and ends up looking corny, which he claims was inspired by Ja Rule. The song was the breakout hit from the mixtape and peaked at number 13 on Billboard, marking the first time that 50 could compete with Ja when it came to record sales. Murder Inc. would then clap back by questioning 50's street cred. Irv Gotti went on a radio show and revealed that 50 had filed a protection order against him and Ja after the stabbing at the Hit Factory.
He said 50 Cent filed a protection order. Now, I do feel like someone said it earlier. You stand by your leaving of the 50 Cent of the Ja Rule support because of Irv. Irv definitely has some things happen that a lot of people are like scratching their head at, from the way that he talked about Ashanti in some of these interviews, from, a lot of the specifics that people are like, yo, what's going on with your character? Not about what you've done as an executive, not about what you've done in your position, but like your character. But at the same time, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is making it more volatile, but I understand why. You're in a position where you're trying to compete. You're in a position where you now feel you feel the heat from another side, and they got Munyon. 50 Cent signed for Munyon. Eminem stamped that one day one. Dr. Dre said, I need in on this. That's dangerous, because it's almost like he got the support of being a West Coast artist, even though he's from New York. You're getting the Jimmy Iovine treatment. Are you kidding me? That probably was a day he said, bro, they trying to get me out of here. I bet you Josh said, these motherfuckers trying to get me out of here. It's my time. Kind of like what you're seeing with Drake.
It was later revealed that the protection order did exist, but it was done for him by the NYPD without 50 requesting it. But to many hardcore rap fans, it didn't matter, and it still hurt his buzz at the time. So 50 soon clapped back with the track I Smell Pussy.
And these fucking songs were so good. That's like, I'm not sitting up here trying to make this a hit piece on 50. These songs were so good. Like, they were so well written. They were so catchy. They were funny. They felt like a very different energy than what we were getting from Ja at the time, right? They were so good. These mixtape airs, I listened to these, and he had one of the most impressive lyricists of the time, young Lloyd Banks. Are you kidding me? Sitting in the back, hiding the gas bill. I was listening to all of these, man. I was listening to all of these, and it was so good. And so, like, to me, that's part of the hypnotization of music too. Man, the hypnotization of music is a real thing.
In the mixtape, The Future Is Now, he didn't hold back and called out Ja Rule, Irv Gotti, and Black Child by name on the intro, taking the beef to a new level. By 2003, 50 was on his way to becoming the biggest rapper of all time after he released his debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying, which sold 872,000 copies in the first week.
872,000 copies. Mind you, this is the physical error. I took the bus, the Downey Link, to go to Warehouse Music to go buy the physical copy of this CD where you had to take it up to the person. $14.55. Might have been $20. Oh my gosh.
It was one of the biggest albums of the year, and it also put his beef with Ja in the spotlight after he dissed him on tracks like Life's on the Line and Back Down. On Back Down, 50 went at Ja and Murder Inc. by questioning their street cred and made it clear he wasn't gonna drop the beat. He rapped, "The game's all fucked up now. What we gonna do now? How we gonna eat, man? 50 back around. That's Ja little punk ass thinking out loud."
I swear to you, at that time, this is where I gotta apologize, Ja, but I gotta be real. At that time, I thought I was part of G Unit. I bought one of them ugly ass wife beaters. I bought one of them ugly ass tank tops. Ugly ass tank tops. The ugliest. I don't know what made me in my young 18-year-old brain think that I had the same arms as 50 Cent. But I sure bought that ugly ass tank top, and I bought them damn knockoff K-Swisses looking shoes, and I was like, back then, where's my wave cap? Matter of fact, I was so young and impressionable, I noticed me and my friends started talking like 50 Cent. Yeah, you trying to go get a piece in the cafeteria? Yeah, I'm trying to get a piece in the cafeteria. My West Coast ass had no business. Did you get the jeans? No, I couldn't afford the jeans. I was overdoing it. But I remember I got my first G Unit, my first G Unit tank top, and I was like, yeah, shit, cut is king. I was on that time. I was hypnotized. I feel stupid now. I really do feel stupid. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hold you. It's a great error, but I feel stupid. They made some amazing. The production was always chef's kiss.
Outside till I die, that's just how I get down. But while 50's career was exploding, Ja's position in the rap
game was beginning
to fall off.
Did you wear it upside down? I showed it.
Before, in November 2002, he released his fourth album, The Last Temptation. Although it did well commercially, it only sold 237,000 and debuted at number 4 on Billboard.
I wonder if this is if Drake did any kind of studying at all. I wonder if this is what he studied, and he said, don't put an album out. If you saw right now, Ja Rule released an album after 50 Cent's debut that did 50 Cent's debut did 800,000 sales in 1 week. That wasn't it. The reason why sales were so important because they were physical. People physically walked into the store and got this music. It was a reflection of their support, physical support for what you're doing. That's your buzz at the time. To contrast that, Ja Rule, I think they said sold what, 200,000?
That commercially, it only sold 237,000.
Can you imagine if Drake would have put out that P&D album, the collab album, and after Kendrick did whatever numbers he did, he significantly had less? The public opinion would have been in the trash. So what does Drake's smart ass do?
FBI, open up!
It didn't work, but you know what he did. He put cases on all you mother effers.
Debuted at number 4 on Billboard. That made it less successful than his last album, Pain Is Love, and nothing close to the numbers that 50 was about to sell.
So not only did he sell less than 50 Cent, who was a new, I don't think there was a chance he's going to sell more than 50 Cent because 50 Cent had Munyon behind him. He had Jimmy Iovine, he had Interscope, he had Eminem, he had Dr. Dre. Like, there's no, and then at the same time, like, Dr. Dre's not always popping out with production. There was going to be a demand just for Dr. Dre and Eminem and their new artists. He was on fire. Not only did Ja Rule sell less than him, but he also sold less than he sold from his last album, which in the eyes of the industry, they're looking at that as, oh, that's an obvious decline. Whether you agree with that or not, that's the way I think it was viewed.
50 came out of nowhere and took over the rap game, and he was there and jawed any chance he got.
Afro Butterfly, imagine that. You said there's no way that Kendrick or that Drake would have outsold GNX. Imagine if he would have tried, and a surprise album by Kendrick dominates the sales. I sell more than you. I got songs with more circulation than you. And we released at the same time. Imagine that. He might have still been having 2 lawsuits out here. Imagine, yeah, he had the 100 gigs for your head top. Imagine he put 18 songs out since this battle. None of them have cracked top 20. Do you know how bad the optics would have been? Maybe not as bad as him now after he lost all hip-hop credibility in my eyes. But that's the end. There is no going. Now what happens is if he goes into court, I know this is not about them, but I think there's a lot of comparisons. If he goes into court now, you realize that looks like him only doing it because his sales were bad and he's embarrassed. He purposely didn't put an album out. It's crazy how we learn things about watching this. He purposely didn't put an album out because he didn't want the same optics that 50 Cent and Ja Rule had. He knows that he's on the Ja Rule trajectory right now. He thinks that because of the influence that he has and the type of music he makes and the kind of relationships he have, he'll never be a Ja Rule, right? I think that's what he believes, but at the same time, I don't think he realizes how done the industry is, how done the people seem to be, but then also how done the culture is, especially when they see such a fine example of that in a Kendrick. Just a theory. Interesting.
Actually, Ja decided to clap back on record, and that's when he dropped the diss track Loose Change. On the song, he not only dissed 50, but also took shots at Eminem, Dr. Dre, Busta Rhymes, and even M's daughter, Haley.
Man, like, it's crazy, bro. Like, at the time, I think my thing was, because remember there was an interview, he didn't cover it. There was an interview where they asked Ja about 50 Cent. He was like, man, I ain't worried about that, bro. We making too much money. We own something, bro. I ain't worried about none of that. And then people was like, nah, you got to say something. Then when 50 sold more records, it's like, you can't call him the little dog no more. You got to say something. So I think he felt the need, especially because, look, it's like now it's a fight for my position is what I'm assuming it is. It's a fight for my position. This guy's a new hotshot. They saying I'm not him no more. I need to show y'all that I really got it like that. And unfortunately, a lot of those songs I felt like fell supremely short in quality compared to the ones at 50. That's just my unbiased opinion. They fell short in terms of quality, and the timing still felt late. Not to mention that clapback video. I'm pretty sure there's things that he would take back. I wonder if he'd take back that clapback video, because the amount of baby oil that I don't know why he was shirtless with that bat. Whew, if I ever met Ja Rule, I would look at him. First of all, I say I'm sorry, but then I'm still gonna have to stand on business. Why'd you have all that baby oil in that video, bro? This is not the time to oil up, Mr. Rule. This is not the time. With all due respect. I was like, man, it's over.
Raps, and you claim your mother's a crackhead and Kim is a known slut. So what's Haley gonna be when she grows up?
That was the final straw right there. Because then you started summoning Eminem? You started summoning Eminem? That should have been a friendly fade. Everybody makes mistakes. I think that was one of them. That should have been a one-on-one. The moment he said, you claim your mother's a crackhead and Kim's a known slut. What's Haley gonna be when she grows up? Eminem said, bet. He said, bet. Oh yeah? Bet. That was because the Eminem that we got, he gave him so much vitriol. It's over then. 50 Cent was already signs of the end. Eminem getting involved? Oh, Lord, why you didn't got the white boy involved? You know he crazy.
Sending shots at 50 was one thing, but going after M and Busta Rhymes too was a huge mistake. A week later, 50 responded along with Eminem and Busta Rhymes on the song Hail Mary. On the song, they made fun of Ja's love for Tupac by referencing one of his classic songs. They also went for the kill, blasting Ja for being a fake gangster.
I'll be honest with you. I, as a big Tupac fan, me and my best friend at the time, my homie Keaton, we used to talk about this because we used to listen to Murder Inc. and then we listened to G Unit. That used to kind of set us, it kind of like had us like feeling a certain way as hip hop fans, like as diehard West Coast hip hop fans, as artists in the making, and a diehard of a Tupac. It was like, you can't like, bro, you can't take that position. You remind us a little bit of that kind of energy, but you can't take that position though, bro. Like, that's still, he was doing things like, I think even like the roles he was playing in certain movies like Fast and Furious, he was like evoking like the Tupac voice and all this, and it was like, nah, bro. Nah, you it's okay to be Tupac adjacent. Don't try to be Tupac though. And I think that's how a lot of us read it though.
Wannabe, 50 raps, motherfuckers thinking they can stop 50, they losing it. Little nigga named Ja think he live like me. Talking about he left the hospital, took 9 like me. Going along with the Biggie vs Tupac theme, Ja responded with another diss called Guess Who Shot Ya, where he went at 50 over the Who Shot Ya instrumental. But even though Ja was clapping back, he couldn't compete with 50 and M. Later that year, Ja released his album, Blood in My Eye, which was basically dedicated to dissing 50 Cent and other rappers he had problems with.
Now you go from being on top and I ain't got time to respond back to this shit to all of a sudden your whole existence. If you have a whole album dedicated to another artist and you release it commercially, people can already look at that like you lost. You lost. You're hurt, I think is what people took that as. Now, he had every right to, of course, because like y'all are trying to crumble what we're doing here. We got street issues and we got industry issues. We got music issues. You try to embarrass me everywhere you go. You talking stuff. You saying crazy stuff. But I'm sure there's a lot of errors happening here. But it appears that it's not just errors that are happening right here. You said desperation. Yeah, it appears there's other things that happen behind closed doors as he getting ready to talk about.
Like DMX and everyone on Shady Records. It was more aggressive and different than the melodic pop rap style that had made him famous.
He probably had his fans who were like, bro, why you not singing? What are you doing? Like, dog, you're writing for Jennifer Lopez, who was a large, huge name at that time, even in music. Like, dog, you're the one. And he strayed away from that because I need my credibility. In a lot of ways, I think Drake felt that's what he was going to get into. But the issue that I think that Drake made that's very different, because Ja Rule went about it and said, nah, I'm a rapper. I rap. I'm not going away from no fade. I rap. Let's do this. I'll give you a whole album full of bars. No. Kendrick gave a reaction to everything that Drake did. And then the last thing we heard from Drake was, got this shit burnt the fuck out. I mean, when you don't want to lie no more, maybe we can get back to some rapping.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
I'm sorry, Ja. You just wanted to rap, bro. You just wanted to rap. You wanted to rap at these niggas. This fucking high yellow ass nigga. I know I'm high yellow, but this nigga said, The name of this is Heart Part 6. You know why? Because you made a Heart Part 5. War General. Little criminals. Minerals in my water. I'm sorry, Ja. I'm so sorry, bro. I apologize, bro. Look what they left us with. I would love a world where you get to exist instead of a Drake in that position. That shit got me hot right now thinking about it. This nigga out here suing.
FBI, open up!
Changing style clearly didn't work for him because critics bashed the album and it only sold 140,000 copies in the first week, making it his lowest selling project to date. That was basically the beginning of the end for Ja Rule, and his career never really recovered. At the same time, 50 Cent would go on to become the biggest artist in hip-hop, while Ja's career would slowly start to die. In 2003, the Murder Inc. records offices were raided by police due to their connection to Supreme, and they were accused of laundering money for his drug ring.
They got raided too. I remember this. They got raided in the midst of their downfall. It's bad enough you getting pushed out the Def Jam building as a priority. Now you're getting raided and you're going to court. Can you imagine the things going on through these folks' minds? Like, I know that you got to have accountability for your relationships, but at the time, like, you got the hip hop police that are circulating around, and you kind of have to maneuver a different way. You're talking about this is when people can see you in person. right? This is not the social media age where they put a camera up and that kind of protects you to a certain degree. No. I see you. There could be an issue, and you may even be getting picked up by somebody that looked like they come into the show and they part of the hip hop police. That was a real thing. Insane.
Irv and his brother Chris would get caught up in a long legal battle, and the label was rebranded as just The Ink after the release of Blood in My Eye. Even though they eventually beat the case, the label was never the same, especially because their main artist was constantly getting dissed by the biggest rappers in the world. Ja released his 6th album, Rule, in 2004.
Even right now, somebody walked in here right now and says, "Why is Stuart Little on the YouTube or on the screen?" You ever think for a second that's not your beef? You ever think that you just as bad as somebody that has a certain favorite politician and they spew the same rhetoric without understanding what the rhetoric even means? That's crazy. I know that may be a little bit too mature for you, but I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's crazy how even to this day, that man ain't did nothing. I ain't really seen him. We immediately start picking up the things that we heard Eminem or heard 50 Cent say. And like I said, this is not a piece trying to make him out to be a victim. That's a grown man who went there and stood on business. He got beat by somebody who had a different trajectory and made better music during the beef, who was more strategic, right? He made some errors. But it's crazy how complete strangers take on the talking points just like politicians and their followers. That's all I'm saying.
Which was more of a return to his old sound. Even though it got more love from critics, the sales numbers were still nothing close to its early success. The next year, The Ink released a compilation album called Exodus, which fulfilled Ja's contract with the label, so he decided to take a break from music. He would also face several legal problems due to the ongoing investigation of Murder Inc. and his own bad choices. In 2007, he was arrested in NYC after a Lil Wayne concert at the Beacon Theater. Ja was in a luxury sedan that was driving over the speed limit on West End Avenue when he was stopped by police. When they pulled the car over, they discovered a .40 caliber handgun under the seat, and he was hit with weapon possession charges.
What's crazy is that after the mainstream audiences chose 50, after everybody changed their attention, what I've never even considered until now is that don't mean that your street politics automatically go away. No, if anything, it means that you might be just a little bit more accessible than you were when you were everybody's main focus. When you were the top selling artist, you're untouchable. Everybody around you has a vested interest. You got the money to pay for all these security guards. Now you're vulnerable. Now you gotta drive around with the pew pew on you because you don't know, like you're accessible. I'm just saying, like, try to give us some perspective. I know this doesn't feel like, I know this is a very weird timing of this, but I'm telling you, it's been on my mind. Like, bro, I might have got it wrong about Ja Rule, and I really mean that when I say that.
But it wasn't just the gun case he was fighting. Ja also later admitted to not filing tax returns for over 5 years.
Oh yeah, we for sure gonna talk about FYRE Festival because that was bad. I seen a documentary that was bad. Feeding these people damn spoiled bread on that island. That's crazy.
And owed the government over $1.1 million for income he made between 2004 and 2008. So Ja pled guilty to the gun charges and tax evasion in 2011 and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. He eventually got out in July 2013, but at that point, his music career was never the same. He even admitted during a 2013 interview with Angie Martinez that he took the L to 50 Cent in their battle, but that would not stop 50 from continuing to troll him. The two rappers would cross paths later that year after they somehow ended up on the same flight. Luckily, there was no issues on board, but Ja tweeted about it, which set off another back and forth with 50 on social media and re-sparked their beef. It wouldn't help that Ja would give 50 pretty much all the ammunition he needed to continue to taunt him after he was involved in one of the biggest scams of the decade.
You made my life a living hell. Yeah, I made some mistakes. I'm talking from the perspective of Ja Rule. You made my life a living hell. And now I got to see you on magazines. I got to watch you go do the same dance moves that you just said wasn't street enough. You over there singing with Olivia. If you was my best friend, but when I did it with Ashanti, I was wrong. Yeah, I feel a certain type of way. I did the hip hop thing, and maybe he feels like hip hop turned their back on him. How y'all turn y'all back on me? I rapped at him. I gave him a whole album. That's what we talking about as bars, right? He didn't throw up the white flag. And then he still dealt with issues with Murder Inc. behind closed doors. He spent 2 years in jail because of the pew pew charge. And then he sees him on a plane. You my worst enemy. If I'm in his shoes, I got to really think about my mentality. You're my worst enemy. You are my worst enemy. I'm looking at you like, man, fuck that. You lucky we on a plane. I know it's an air marshal on here. I'm liable to smack the back of your head. I wouldn't do that with 50 Cent. 50 Cent, he big as hell. But he crazy too. But I'm just saying, in my head, I be beating your ass though. In my head, the whole plane, you gonna see me doing this. Sir, would you like some Coca-Cola? Nope. What about some vitamin water? I said fucking no. Yeah, I'm here. In first class. Probably thought you'd never see this, huh? See, that's why God didn't put me in that position, because I ain't got no sense. Shout out for him for being a good man, because all he did was tweet. He probably should have did that, but I for sure would have been tweeting like, at 50 Cent, turn around. I do a selfie like this. I turn around. You would not. Oh boy, I'll make a podcast called "I Hate 50." That would be my podcast.
Festival. After getting out of prison, Ja knew that he wasn't going to be a star in the rap game anymore and needed a new way to make money. At some point, he was introduced to an entrepreneur named Billy McFarland who wanted Ja to be the creative head and spokesman for his new credit card company, Magnesis. Magnesis was supposed to be an exclusive card-based membership club targeted to rich millennials, but it turned out to be a massive scam.
It's like when Day Day talk about it next Friday. He went to Jack in the Box and he seen this girl. She was looking good, and he was like, he saw she was eating something. He was like, he wanted a bite. It's the worst fucking day of my life. That's what Ja Rule was when he met this man right here. This man was probably telling him the same shit I'm saying right now. He probably was like, Ja, man, the game did you dirty, but I'm gonna help you out, man. It's unfortunate what happened with the ink. It's unfortunate what happened with your charges. He talked to him just like that. Look at his face. It's unfortunate what happened, but I've got a plan. It's something called the FYRE Festival. Afro Butterfly, that is the realest statement. That's the most human statement that I've seen all day long. Thank you for saying this. I'm just glad Ja is alive to this day.
Somebody gonna have to
Dog, this is, and you saw the story of what happened before all this stuff went down, right? Losing close family members, right? Having a situation with this group that didn't pan out, having all these things go the way that it did, and then you still make something out of your career that most folks will never see. Then you're able to still maneuver through and put out more music, and then he's alive and active. Yeah, Teresa vibes. I saw him in concert in Long Beach one time, and I was like, it dawned on me. I was like, bro has so many hits. And he's performing, he's going around, he dapped me up and all of that stuff. It's at a Long Beach venue over by the Pike. And I'm like, that was the first time I had this thought, like, damn, bro had a really great career. He made amazing music. I had to really think about it, because I was like, this is a great performance. And it was a smaller venue, but I'm like, dog, he still got it. Shit sucks, bro. That's the game that a lot of folks are trying to play in this industry. It just is what it is. But yeah, this right here, this FYRE Festival.
That partnership also led to Ja becoming one of the co-founders of FYRE Media, a talent booking agency founded by Billy McFarland. The company's first major project was FYRE Festival.
Corey Lee says send him some beats and get him popping again. No. If anything, a conversation would be more lucrative and more fruitful. If Ja Rule watches this, he just responded on Twitter. If he watches this, sir, I would love to have a conversation with you and hopefully shed light from somebody who was there. That's a more fruitful conversation. If we get to the place of making music, I would love that too. But I think that's short-sighted. I think we need to have a conversation, because as an independent artist, I see it now. As a 40-year-old independent artist, I see it a little different now. And had I really feel this way. I know for some of y'all, I'm just your YouTuber, but I don't think you understand the marketing mind that I have. if you gave me the opportunity to spearhead a campaign, I would do something that people would talk about for the rest of my life. I guarantee that, because I see the vision of things that never got brought to light. And I see this for what it is. And this shit just, it hurts me because I can relate to a certain degree, even on my level of independence. You know how many times I done got blackballed in the industry just for being too nice, just for being too trusting, just for aligning myself with people that I thought I could trust that were doing dirty to other people. You know how many lives I had? You know why I had a song where I called myself Rasputin? Because they tried to pew Rasputin. They tried to stab him. They tried to take him out, and he still kept coming back. Matter of fact, when he finally got taken out, and they threw him in the ice cold water, and they left his body there to go, they came back to the water, and they saw he was not in the water no more. You know where he was? He clawed his way out of that ice cold water, and he eventually passed away in the snow. I feel that resiliency. He ain't got to show up and keep smiling in these videos. And 50 still talking shit. You won, bro. But that's that 48 Laws shit that I don't like. Crush your enemy entirely. I don't like that shit. Matter of fact, I had some friends of mine that we were driving to South by Southwest, and we played 48 Laws of Power. I kind of feel like on the way home, we couldn't trust each other because we don't know who taking what from what. That 48 Laws of Power sounds sexy when you're younger. When you're older, that shit just sounds manipulative. It sounds like you'll sell out your closest mans in order to get on top, in order to achieve power. I'm not fucking with that. At 40, I'm not fucking with that. You on that shit? You worried about being outshined because you the master? Ain't nobody no master of me except for Jesus, except for God himself. Ain't no master over me, dog. I ain't about to not outshine. Kiss my ass. Huh? Kiss my ass. I'm looking at this a lot different. Like, I know 50's a very, very menacing and somebody who could change your life for the worse, especially when he focuses on you. I'm just at a place now where it's like, man, fuck all that shit. We in 2025. Fuck all that. I got a platform, and I'm going to be responsible for my platform. I don't like the way that this feels. It don't sit right in my soul. And I know we 20, 30 years too late, but shit, bro, I feel the way I feel for a reason.
Massive music festival in the Bahamas that was going to feature performances from some of the biggest artists in the world and other one-of-a-kind experiences.
You said that book, E.J. Miller says that book, 48 Laws of Power, was inspired by demonic thoughts and spirits. You know what's so crazy about that book? That book is made by, who's 48 Laws of Power made by? Not Malcolm Gladwell. What's my guy's name? Robert Greene, right? Robert Greene. Do you know that Robert Greene made 48 Laws of Power because he was angry? He was angry. I believe that his scripts weren't being picked up. He was angry at the industry, so he made that book as a way to get back. Do you know that Robert Greene made that when he was feeling like a bitch ass nigga? Do you know he made that when he was in a very, very vulnerable place? And then he came up with all of these manipulative ways of how to achieve power? You get that, right? You get that, right? So now when you look at that, you say, and Satan inspired that. You get that, right? So when you look at it from that, I just look and I say, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. He also made the book, The Laws of Human Nature. I got both of them books, which is crazy. And that one, I feel like he said it in the book. And that book you're talking about, Robert Greene said he made that book to balance out the energy that he put out into the world. What does that tell you? And then, of all the people he could have collaborated with to make a book, he does the 50 Laws of Power with 50 Cent.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Wow. Wow. FYRE Fest was a terrible situation. I'm not excusing that. I look at this and I'm like, them people should have never went through that. But then I think about it doesn't start at FYRE Fest. There's a cause and effect that leads somebody to be in a place where they feel like they need to run up an opportunity like FYRE Festival. And he was in a position where I'm assuming money was not where it was at its prime.
McFarlane used JaRule's name to help recruit huge influencers like Kendall Jenner, Emily Ratajkowski, and Bella Hadid to promote the event. He also used those big names and connections to secure millions of dollars of funding from investors to put on the show.
Wow.
But it turns out that Billy was nothing more than a con artist and had no idea how to run a music festival. The entire thing was a complete disaster after all the musical acts backed out, and ticket buyers were left stranded on an island in the Bahamas for days with limited food and shelter.
That's
Billy
terrible.
McFarland and Ja Rule were both sued for over $100 million in lawsuits over the situation.
Dog, you may disagree, but God got a plan for Ja Rule, bro. I mean, that's the craziest statement to say. God got a plan for Ja Rule. You get moved out of position as one of the top artists in the game. You do the hip hop thing, and then you feel like hip hop turns its back on you because they've chosen someone else, a new king. You have your label dissolve. You go spend 2 years in jail. Right? We supposed to be here just making music. I noticed the whole war tax. I get all of that. You spend 2 years in jail. You got to rebuild from there and try to figure out how to get some footing. Somebody comes to you in that vulnerable place and says, I got an idea. I got this festival. I just need your likeness to help me promote it and get more investors. And he says, all right, I think that sounds like a plan. You do it, it ends up being one of the worst festival experiences that people have ever had, and you get sued for $100 million. Dog, I don't know if I have the resiliency to withstand all of that, because it's like no matter what I do.
Billy ended up getting booked for 6 years in federal prison for wire fraud, while Ja dodged all charges and said he got caught up in McFarland's scam.
Wow.
And even though he was cleared on the legal front, it seems like the FYRE Festival was the final nail in the coffin for Ja's reputation. 50 used the situation to troll Ja on social media. Not long after, he would also take the pettiness to a whole new level after he bought 200 front row seats at one of Ja's shows just to...
Context. That person earlier, I don't know if you're still here, this is when 50 Cent decided to buy the tickets. In what is looked at, because of the hip hop got some contradictory rules, and I love the culture, but this is more so mainstream hip hop rules, right? This is more so mainstream rap rules. It was a strategic plan, right? And Ja's not innocent. He was talking his shit on Twitter, right? And I guess defending himself, or maybe even saying something back to 50. 50 ain't all there. And then 50 went and bought all the front row tickets to a show just to embarrass him, because we know that nowadays, when people take video of a performer and they see empty rows, they're like, damn, 50 Cent really did that to him, without even knowing that 50 Cent bought all these tickets and nobody was receiving the tickets. He just bought them to have empty seats. Is it giving obsessed yet? I know very well. I say this and I sound like a punk to some folks. I'm gonna lose all my hip hop credibility, but I'm looking at this shit from a different lens, not on some sensitive shit, but on some grown man shit like, bro, when is enough enough? No, 48 Laws of Power says crush your enemy totally. What your characters say though? You know what I'm saying? Like what are you standing on? Maybe that's the same kind of character that tells somebody like a Drake, you should sue UMG and not Kendrick so you can stop him from doing a song at the Super Bowl, even though you agitated the fucking situation. Maybe that's the same 50 Cent that advised a young Tekashi 6ix9ine, and now he's suing LA Fitness because of a lack of security where he got jumped, even though he went hood to hood to hood to hood to hood to hood on camera, trying his best to embarrass real life gangsters. Marking out LA, marking out Houston, marking out San Antonio, marking out Florida, marking out New York, like, and then went and did the opposite and snitched on his, like, what do we? And that's somebody that just happened to be around 50 Cent too. You know why I'm looking at this shit different? I'm not saying he's not a thorough dude. I'm not saying he's not a cold mother effer. I'm just saying now at 40, this shit ain't so cool no more to me.
Leave him empty. His recent trolling has continued the beef more than 2 decades after it started. The two rappers continue to trade shots on social media, exposing a whole new generation to one of the most legendary feuds in hip-hop history. So with all the L's that Ja has taken over the years, many fans have completely forgotten about all of his early success. He had the rap game on lock from 99 to 03 with one of the craziest runs of any rapper in history.
Man.
Coming up alongside dudes like Jay-Z and DMX, many fans thought that Ja was another legend in the making. But his many beefs and bad business decisions have completely destroyed his reputation and legacy.
There go that Baby Oil video. That we gotta add that to the list of things that we had to rethink.
In music. It isn't completely over for Ja Rule, as he still has a large fan base. If he can manage to release another classic album or find success in some other part of the entertainment business, it's possible he could turn things around. But it seems like anytime he gets something going, 50 Cent is just waiting to roast him. So at this point, it seems unlikely that Ja Rule will ever be able to fully revive his career and public image.
Wow. Excellent video by Hip Hop Content. Think about this for a second, right? I showed you guys this this message. I don't know if he's responded back to me. I had a homie text me right now about this. I wonder if Ja Rule says something back, because my timeline is insane right now. I wonder if he says something back. Let me see what's going on here. Let's see what's going on here. Shout out to Glasses. He just retweeted something I put up. Where is it at? 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 Let me see. No, that's maybe he didn't say something. I just go to Ja Rule page. Let's just see. I don't know if I've seen anything. But no, I'm serious about this now. Now I've made this my new thing. I've made this my new focus. Last year it was let's get ourselves off of streaming and let's go direct to consumer. I feel this one personal. I do feel this personally. I know it ain't none of my business. I know it puts me in a vulnerable position. But how beautiful, how poetic would it be if how poetic would it be if Ja Rule's demise was inevitably because of a guy named Curtis Jackson? And if somehow, some way, I could lend a hand with my platform, with my insight, with whatever I could provide value-wise, my production, what if somehow Curtis King could help? Not saying he needs my help. That's somebody that has achieved success I will never see. But I am somebody now that's looking at this from a different lens, and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it. And when I don't like something and I feel like I have the ability to change course on it, I'm gonna do it. Or at least put the olive branch out there. I really mean that. I really mean that. Ja Rule deserves better treatment. He deserves better treatment. And that's a crazy statement to say in 25 and a bit too late for some people. But I look at all them things that he went through and the fact that he's able to still have the opportunity to do what he loves, that's a blessing. 50 Cent is up too. 50 Cent did that shit, bro. He achieved things that the 1 percentile in rap will never achieve. It don't mean it. I mean, I know that in order to get to a billionaire status, you got to step on a lot of people. But then I keep saying it, bro, that sometimes some people are so rich, some people are so poor, all they have is money and fame. Because outside of that, I don't know why you still would say anything about a Ja Rule. Who cares if you say something? That's shit. That's small fries of you, bro. You took care of that. You're done. He's done. There's no more. Like, he's not. You're done with music. You don't even do music no more. That's how petty that is. Yeah, all legends, but never perfect guys. That is true. I don't know, DIYers. I know it's a longer video, but I'm glad we did that. That to me feels like I felt like a moment of growth for me when I watch something like that. Those are my thoughts, though, DIYers. Let me know what you think. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Don't be greedy. Peace.